friends, and welcome back to part 2 of my little storybook journal tutorials. We are working on the pages and the signatures of the journal in today's video. Make sure before we get started, you hit that subscribe button down below, subscribe, turn on the little notifications bell so you're notified when I post new videos, and also give this video a big thumbs up. It definitely helps. So in today's video, I have already done the signatures, the pages and the signatures in this journal right here. I kind of pre-did all of this. I did a few more things to the actual cover of the journals that we did in the last video. So I'll kind of show you what we did to get you caught up. And then we're going to go ahead and start working on the pages and the signatures in this one right here. I actually haven't done anything other than the cover for the Sleeping Beauty one, but I wanted to kind of do one and get my layout the way I wanted it first, and then kind of show you from there what I did. Okay, so this was the one that we were working on the cover in the last video of. As you can see, I put the lace around the fabric on the unfinished fabric edge of the spine of the book. And also I made like a little, I don't know, a little ribbon out of some scrap fabric that I had that I glued just to the edge, the front edge and the back edge of the book back here. And then on the inside, I think we pretty much showed everything on the inside so far that we've done. We put that lace, we wrapped that lace all the way around the inside. And then I also did 2 signatures in this specific journal book, and I sewed them in. Each signature has 9 or 10 sheets of paper, full sheets of paper, so meaning like 18 to 20 pages per signature in here. So that's kind of what I did to get up to this point, but we're going to be doing that together in the next journal here. So I'm going to set that one aside and we're going to work on this one. I'll show you what I did for the cover on this one. Again, I put a piece of fabric over the spine. I covered the edges with some lace, both front and back. I had this really pretty kind of vintage kitchen ruffle that came off of, I think it was a curtain tie back, and I just thought it was really cute. It went really well with the coloring on the Little Red Riding Hood book. So, and it also had a nice kind of seam that I cut in half, so I was able to wrap the seam around the front and the back of each the front and back covers, as you can see here. On the inside, I also wrapped that lace around the inside of our fabric. And then I did something different on this one that I didn't do on the other one. I added a piece of ribbon right up the center of my spine here. It covers up my hardware, as you can see. Here's my little charm hardware. It covers up the hardware, and it's also going to be like an attached bookmark. And that I did before putting in any of the signatures, before sewing in any of the signatures. So the only other thing that I did to this specific binder or this specific journal cover is I had a piece, a page of the actual storybook that was ripped. So I cut out around it and I made a little pocket here on the inside front cover. So that's really all that I've done on this book that we're going to work on today. Let me quickly show you the Sleeping Beauty one as well. And I haven't even gotten this far really on the Sleeping Beauty one yet. And I'll probably do that one last, but I'm loving how this one turned out. This one I did the same thing as I did on the Hello Joe book. I had a little piece of ribbon that I just sewed some little ruffles in, and then it's just like a nice little sheer ribbon. I glued that to the edge of the book, and then I had this gorgeous lace with pearls and rosettes that I glued on the front of the the front of the journal book, and it kind of wraps around the spine fabric. So as you can see, this is what the front will look like, and it kind of wraps around that really pretty fabric in the back. And then this one, the back of the book was in really rough shape, so I covered the entire back of the book with a really nice fabric. Did the same thing. I did the little ruffle and the little pearled lace on the inside, and then I haven't finished the inside of the cover yet. The only thing that I did do is I added, just like the Little Red Riding Hood, I added the bookmark kind of like streamer down the center of my fabric here, but I still need to do some sort of covering to cover up the seam here. I might do some pockets. I like the little background on here, so I'll probably try to incorporate that as much as possible. But that's where I've gotten to with this cover for this journal. But that's not what we're going to work on today. We're going to work on the Little Red Riding Hood. I'd like to get all of the pages sewn into this one so that we can continue working on some other additions to these. I want to do some little pocket pages. I want to do lots of ephemera, lots of fun stuff in them. So I want to kind of get them constructed and put together so that way we can kind of continue on with the other stuff. So, all right, so let's get started with our pages. I'm going to kind of set this aside right now because I'm not going to be using the cover as of right yet. I want to work on getting the pages done and together. Now, I have gone ahead and pre-cut everything to size, which I had a little template that I had my measurements. I cut everything to size. I folded everything, so I know that all of my pages are the right size. Now it's just a matter of putting them in order and doing some little extras to them. So the first thing I am going to do, and kind of the first thing I do when I put my signatures together, is I decide what are going to be kind of like my cover pages to each one of my signatures. Now I'm having 2 signatures in each journal, so I want to pick the cover page for each one. I liked this one, so I kind of kept that aside. But I'm also adding a few other these are all cardstock pages, so they're a little bit heavier. They're double-sided cardstock. They're, I think it's scrapbook paper because these were 12 by 12 pages. So they're a little bit heavier, and so I like to use a heavier paper for like the covers to each one of the signatures. So I kind of want to decide what one I want to use for each one that it's going in this book. Now, I've also gone ahead and done some stitching and added some lace to the edge of just the cardstock pages. So I will show you the ones that I did, and then we're going to go ahead and do one together so you'll see how I go ahead and do this. I'm setting aside the pages. These are like the actual book pages, and then the other pages that are not cardstock. So most of them are like book pages, lined paper, sheet music, that kind of thing. So we'll set those all aside because those will be incorporated within these kind of heavier cardstock pieces. All right, so this one right here is actually the same as this one right here. I'm thinking I'm going to use this as one of my main covers. On the other side, it just has this kind of nice avocado dyed look. So I might use that one. This one I already went ahead and added some lace, and I also did some stitching all the way around on this one. Just to give it a little bit more, I don't know, I like it, finishes it off. It gives it a little bit more something to look at. So there was that one. Here was another piece of cardstock. I liked the floral. This was another one that I might choose for like a cover. This one just had kind of a more vintage plain green toned background to it. But again, I did just a really nice little edging all the way around that with different thread. Now I change out the colors of my thread depending on the journal that I'm working with. As you can see in this one, I did a green thread to kind of go with the color of the journal, because the main color in this journal is the more green colors. And then this one that we're working on is going to have a lot of reds and pinks. So I did almost like a deep fuchsia pink color for my thread in that one. Here's a couple other pages. This one is pretty. It's got some just lined floral, kind of Victorian looking. All of them almost have like a French kind of theme to them. It's going to be very kind of like old world French-esque theming to each one of these journals. I wanted it very vintage looking. So now just deciding on which papers to use as my main 2 signature pages. So I like this one. I think I'm going to use this one because that one's bright and fun. And then I think I'm also going to use this one like I suggested before, because this one is kind of, I don't know, I like the roses, I like the patterns. Yeah, the others are just kind of plain. So these are going to be included in each one of the signatures, but I'm going to use this as one of my main covers and then this one that I haven't done yet as my other one. Okay, so let's go ahead and add my lace and do my stitching on this one right here, just so I can show you how that's done. It's very easy. I have this little bit of lace here. It's just an ivory lace. This is actually dollar store lace. If you see this stuff at the dollar store, definitely pick it up. I buy this stuff by the handfuls. I usually buy 5 or 6 rolls of it at a time. I use so much of it. It's just a nice, like, classic, easy to use lace that's, you know, a good like ecru color, almost like an ivory. You can use it on all kinds of different projects. It's very vintage looking. It's durable. So whenever you see this at the Dollar Tree, definitely grab some because it has been becoming harder to find lately. So I'm going to use my Fabrifix to glue this down before I stitch it. It makes it a lot easier. And again, I will link this in the description below. This is my favorite glue to use on this type of project. It works well with paper. It works well with fabric. It dries quickly. It does have a little bit of a smell to it, but it's not horrible. It's not like as bad as even like fingernail polish remover. All right, so this one I'm just going to put a little bit of this Fabrifix right to my page edge, and then I'm going to take my lace and just stick it right down in that glue. Just press it down lightly. Make sure your edge is right to the edge. Now I didn't cut this one. I just kind of pulled off enough that I knew would cover, you know, both sides of my pages. I also flip it around the back so you can see if you have any kind of uneven spots so that it's nice and straight going around. And then I'm just going to clip this off. And then we're going to do the other side. Same thing. This is kind of like the stuff that I usually do. If I'm doing multiple journals, I'll do all of this stuff all at once. So if I'm doing multiple pages for each journal, it's a little different in this specific grouping of journals only because I'm videoing it for you guys so you can see how I do it. So I'm kind of doing things out of the normal order that I would, but normally I would do all of my pages for all of the signature, all of the journal books that I'm working on, and I would do everything at once. So I would literally do all of my sewing on all of my pages. I would cut all my pages to size, you know, get everything done. I wouldn't really work one at a time unless you're just working on one journal. But I try to just do bulk of stuff, that way it's all done. All right, so I'm just trimming off the edges. So now I have my little lace, and now I'm gonna grab my sewing machine and we're gonna stitch this. Okay, so I have my sewing machine set up. I have a Brother sewing machine. It's the CS6000. I've had this one for like 10 years. It's just kind of a basic sewing machine. It's a workhorse. It works really well. I never have issues with it. So yeah, I've just gotten used to it, and it's good for just, I don't do a whole lot of sewing. Most of the sewing I do is just simple stuff. So it's perfect for that. It was very inexpensive too. I think I got it at Walmart at the time for like maybe $150, something like that. But anyhow, I have some red thread in here. It's the same thread that I used on the rest of the pages. And I'm actually going to start on this corner right here. And I'm just using a setting. I use two very simple settings. The first setting I use is 01. It's just a straight stitch, and I do most of my stitching with just a straight stitch, but I also do some decorative stitching, which is like a kind of like a zigzag, and that's setting 04, and I'll show you how I kind of add that in. So I'm just starting about 1/8 of an inch from the edge with my first stitch, and I just go down the side, or it will be the top of my page, and I'll stop about 2/3 of the way down my first page, and that's when I will change my setting up to the zigzag stitch, and then I do 12 of the zigzag stitches. So I do 12, and then I turn it back to my straight stitch, and I continue down the page until I get to the other side, and I do the same thing. I will go about 2/3 of the way through the other side, and I'll do my 12 zigzag stitches again. So I'll switch it over and then just do my 12 zigzag. And then back to 1. And then this will bring me to my corner. All right, so I'll leave my needle down in the paper. I'll just lift up my presser foot and I'll spin my paper. And then on the sides, you can either do a zigzag all the way down or a straight stitch all the way down the lace. I'm gonna just do a straight stitch all the way down for time purposes. It's much quicker. And then again, leave my needle down, open the presser foot, turn the paper, and then complete the, do the exact same process on the other side. Go about 2/3 of the way, do your 12 zigzag stitches, again, 2/3 of the way through the next side, and do the 12 zigzag stitches, and then finish up the other lace side. So very easy. Okay, so when I'm done, I'll just pull my needle out, pull out my thread, snip off my thread, and there we have our stitched edge, front and back. You can see those little decorative zigzag pattern on there. So yeah, very simple, very easy. All right, so now that we have all of our papers done, it's time to start sorting them into the way that they're going to go into the signature. So I am gonna start with this one right here. I think that's gonna be my cover, or the cover of my first signature, and this is gonna be the cover of my second signature. So I'm just gonna lay them out like this. Then I'm gonna go through the rest of my pages. Now, I like to incorporate the pages of my storybook. So I am gonna take, I'm gonna flip them over. I'm gonna take a page to my storybook and put that in next. And I don't have that many pages for this specific storybook, so not sure. I only have 3 extra pages because one of them was ripped. So I'm gonna just kind of set this third one aside because I don't know exactly the order that I want to put these yet. But I'm gonna use, I think, a page of sheet music next, like that. And then I have another sheet music that I will put on this one. And then I kind of just go through the pages that I have. If I have multiple of something, I will put, like this one, I have a lined page, and then I also have just a plain sheet. And then I have 2 of these. Actually, I'm gonna put these next. These are like children's, I think this is like a children's, what do you call it? Encyclopedia. So we'll put one of those next and one of those next. Now I'm gonna go back in with another one of my cardstock pages. Let's do this one. Actually, no, I have that one already in that book. Let's do this one here, and we'll do this one here. All right, let's do another storybook page. I'll do a storybook page there, and I don't have another storybook page, but I do have another book page with like a green coloring on it. So I'm gonna do that one next. I have this ledger. I'm going to put that one next here, and then I'll do a lined paper here with a raw edge. I'm going to do, let's do this one. Did I use one of these here in this side already? No, yes I did. Let's do this one in this side, and we'll do, we'll use this one. This one is another, this is a printable page that came from one of my digitals that I got off of Etsy. So it has sheet music on. I just did the sheet music on one side. This is actually one of my own sheet musics, but this is from the digital download on this side. So I like the color of it. So we'll just put that in there. And then let's do this one, and this was a coloring page that had a really cute little bunny rabbit on it, and on the back it had some more little bunny rabbits, and it has I did a pocket at the top, but I think I'm going to end up cutting that pocket. I just wanted to kind of do like a flip out type thing. So I think I'm going to put that in this side right here. And then we'll put this little, this is like a school book, like a children's school book. I'll put that one in here. Okay, so now I have my pages in both of my signatures kind of laid out here. If there's anything that hasn't gotten folded, now's probably the time to fold those as well. Oh, you know what I didn't do? Well, I guess I can do it now. I also put some tabs in my journal as well. As you can see here, I have a few of these little tabs that I made. If you can see them on the side, they're little scrap pieces of cardstock that I just cut a little tab out of, and I glued a tab onto each one of the cardstock pages, just so that there's multiple little tabs in here, you know, just to kind of keep the journal in order. So I do have a few little scrap tabs right here. These are just little squares. I think they measure, it was just whatever I had left over. They are 2 1/4 by 1.5 inches. So I have a little edge press. Let me see if I can find it. It's here somewhere. Yes, I have a bunch of little corner presses. I have this one, which is kind of decorative, but I'm not going to do anything that decorative. I'm going to use this one right here. This is kind of like a stamped edge corner piece. And so I'm just taking my little scraps, and we're going to just make some tabs. I'm going to use my corner clip, put that in, and you see it just cuts a little notch out of the corner, like a stamped edge corner. Right, so I'm just doing the 2 top corners, and I'm leaving the bottom flat. So we're just going to use these as little tabs to our pages. You don't need to do one on all the pages. I'm only doing four different sections, but I attach them to the cardstock pages. So once I am done with this, I'm going to ink these up and distress them a little bit. I'm going to use, I've been using, in that journal, I used the the Hickory Smoke archival ink. But in this journal, the coloring is a little different. There's a lot of grays in that one. So that's why I use that color. In this one, I'm going to use the Vintage Photo. This is the one that I use most of the time. So I'm just taking a little bit of my ink, and we'll just go along those edges and just distress those white edges up. And I do the front and back. This is a lace background. All right, so I'm gonna distress all of these up and then we'll be right back. Okay, so I have all of my little tabs all distressed and ready to go. I have all of my pages here of my first signature kind of ready to go. But what I'm going to do is, before I do anything, I'm going to go through each one of these pages. I'm actually rounding the corners on all of my pages, so I'm going to go in now and round my pages and make sure that all my pockets are glued down, and kind of just make sure that my all the little things need to get done. I'm gonna distress the edges of pages. So as you can see, I have this page right here. I'm gonna just lightly distress these edges a little bit. It's kind of an old vintage page anyhow, so it doesn't need a whole lot. But again, I'm just gonna go through and get all those edges distressed after I clip the corners. I'll kind of make a station here, so I'll flip that upside down. But as you can see, this next page, it's going to have a pocket, but nothing's been glued down. So what I will go ahead and do is I will go ahead and quickly glue the pocket down. Just take a little bit of my glue along the edge here, and we'll glue those pockets down. Now we're going to probably go in later and add stuff to these, but because this is kind of like a mass make project, I'm doing 3 at a time. I'm just trying to get all of this little tedious stuff done ahead of time. Okay, so once that is glued down, then I'm also going to fold this page. And I want to make sure that it's folded nicely. If I have to go back in and sometimes paper is cut slightly off, or you know, I'm gonna have to go in after and just clean up the edges a little bit. That's perfectly fine. So I'm gonna do my seam, and then I'm gonna go back in with my corner rounder and just round up my corners on these and distress this one as well. So just go in quickly. Again, I try not to do, you know, take too long on this because I'm making these all in groups. I want to be as quick as possible, and I can always go in after and do this while I'm working on this specific page later on. If I have like inserts or ephemera that I'm putting in this page, I can do this after, but sometimes it's just easier to do this when it's not already bound to the signature. I could also put some notches in here now if I wanted to with my half circle. I do have my, I have a circle punch here, and I will just half circle press this like that, just so that you can tell that these are pockets, although you can tell they are. I'm just doing it so you can see my process now. Okay, so that page is done. And we got this page. That one, there's nothing really to add to it. That one's done. This one needs to get folded. There's another page that needs to get folded. Figure out what you want. I want this one on the inside. This one has just a torn edge, so that one is not going to get a corner press, so we'll put that one in. This one's already done. This one does need to get my corners done. Let's just do the corners on this really quickly. Right. Some other sheet music. Again, this is a little bit, this has got the harsh corners, so I'm going to soften those corners up with the corner press. You can do 2 corners at a time if you want to. If you want to do 2 corners at a time, save you some time. There's 2. Those are going in there. Here is my actual book page. I'm going to do the corners on the book page. Now, one thing I am noticing, my book page is slightly larger than my other pages, and I'm just noticing it here. Let me measure this really quickly. A lot of times your book pages will be slightly bigger than your pages that you've measured from your cover. This one I think is supposed to be, this one is 5 3/8, and it's supposed to be 5. So I'm actually going to trim off 3/8 of an inch from the outside edge right now. So that way it's easier to do it now than when it gets sewn in to my, just mark my 3/8 here. All right. We'll just cut that off right now. That way it's done. These little scraps you can save too. Sometimes there's projects that you can do with these. You can make like miniature belly bands, different kind if you need trim for something. So I kind of save these until I'm done. And then whatever's left over, if this stuff I'm not going to use on other projects, then I'll toss it. All right, but there is my book pages, and then I'll round out the edges again. And we'll just distress this up a little bit. I don't want to do a lot because it's already distressed as it is. Okay, so that's gonna go in here, and then there is my cover. So let's just double check this and see. Oh, I have this upside down. That's another thing you have to just make sure your pages are going right side up. Sometimes when I do this, I'll get working and I'll realize that I did half of them upside down and half of them right side up. So just gonna kind of put them together, put my finger in the middle, and then just flip through them really quickly to make sure they're all going the way I want them to go. So yeah, everything looks good. Okay, so that is our first signature. I'm going to also, at this point, I'm going to add my tabs. So as you can see, I'm just putting it right next to my cover page, just so you can see that it goes well together. All right, so let's get a little binder clip or a little clip. Let's clip these together, and let's figure out where I want to add my little tabs that I have here. So I'm gonna do my first tab. Let me see how I did this one. I don't think, yeah, I did it on the second. I didn't do it on my first page. I did it on my second cardstock page, which would be this one right here. All right, so I'm gonna do a tab on this page. Let's see. This off for a minute. I'm gonna lay that like that. Okay, so what I'm gonna do, figure out where you want your tab to be. I usually start at the bottom. I'll do one at the bottom, one at the middle, one at the top, and then another one at the bottom. And then also figure out what side of the tab you want facing the front of the book. I want this colored page to be facing the front, so I will put a little bit of glue just on the bottom, and I'm again using my Fabrifix, just on the bottom of my tab, and then I'll line this up on the bottom of my page. Kind of hold it like that so I can see what it looks like. I like that. All right, so there's one, and then put that in here, and then the second one I'm gonna put on this page, and this one's going to go in the middle. A little bit more glue, kind of just eyeball it in the middle like that. The only thing I am going to do is I'm going to take my first page and just make sure that these are about the same width off of the paper. I don't want them sticking out, one sticking out really far and the other one not as far. Okay, so there's that one. And then these can go in here. And then I'll save my other two tabs for my second signature. All right, so as you can see, I have my tabs, my first 2 tabs in my first signature, and then the second 2 tabs will go in my second signature. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that, and then we will come back and show you the next steps.